Michael, very good morning to you.
Good morning.
Nice to see you. Thank you very much for joining us. Now, that begs the question, the first thing I always want to ask former MPs is, what are you doing now?
Talking to you now. Well, been away in August, went off to the US and Canada, visited a friend's sister in Newfoundland,
nice.
Spent some time on Cape Cod in Provincetown, and then went off walking in Montana.
Wow.
An average 28,000 steps a day, so lost some weight, but it's all going back on now, which is very, very sad.
Yes. Well, I mean, this is back to Parliament first week. I mean, it'll be the first time in a while that you're not there.
32 years.
Yeah. I mean, that's a bit of a wrench, isn't it?
Yeah, but, you know, I wouldn't have fought the next time round anyway.
Right.
And I just want to keep busy. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do,
Right.
but pipe and slippers is not ready for me yet, that's for sure.
No, exactly right. Now, the Conservatives are the official opposition, we're supposed to be told. However, I had Chris Philp on a little bit earlier on, and I said, you know, what's happened to Rishi Sunak? You know, he left the building at something like July the 5th, and he hasn't really been back. I haven't really seen much of him. Nobody's seen much of him. Chris Philp said he hadn't spoken to him since they went on summer recess. I mean, he is meant to be leading the party still, isn't he?
Well, I guess he went on holiday too. I just don't know if he's got back. But maybe he's decided to leave the airwaves blank and leave it to the other contenders and not get in the way of them, because they're the ones who will be the next leader. One of them will be the next leader.
No, I get that, but there's an awful lot of things to say about an awful lot of Labour policies and an awful lot of things that they've done. I mean, their first 60 days, I think they've been possibly the most unpopular new government I've ever seen.
Yeah, well, I mean, they are. In the last 100 years, their approval rating is absolutely bottom for a government that's only been in for 7 weeks.
Right.
I mean, it's phenomenal, and I don't know what they're playing at. I mean, a lot of the things they're planning to do is what they do in continental Europe. Yeah. And the European Union and continental Europe in general is lagging behind all the other countries in the Western world on the economy and growth because of all their ridiculous and restrictive plans they have in place for business. And it seems that Starmer wants to take us the same way. So from being, which we are at the moment, the fastest growing economy in the G7, faster than the United States, faster than Germany, faster than Japan, we're going to be lagging behind like all the rest of them in Europe.
Right. Well, an awful lot of people...
What is that man doing?
Well, an awful lot of people, and particularly economists, are pointing to, you know, the idea that they keep saying they're going to create growth in this country and they're going to make it better for every single part of the country and more prosperous and all the rest of it. But in fact, the only thing they're really doing is causing inflation by giving an awful lot of pay rises to an awful lot of public sector workers, aren't they?
Yeah, and in fact, the black hole, which they said they were unaware of, which is an absolute lie, by the way, because the leaders of the main opposition party have the Treasury books open to them. They knew exactly what the situation was. The black hole is being created by them, by agreeing to every single trade union demand and not even asking the trade unions to reform their working practices. I mean, if at least the rail workers got into the 21st century, that would be something. But no, we're still back in the 19th century with all the sort of restrictions and things that existed in the days of steam trains. I mean, what is Starmer playing at?
Well, this is one of the things that they're going to do this week, isn't it? They're going to renationalise the train service. Now, I think we'd probably all agree that trains don't run very well in this country, but I don't know that that's going to make it any better, is it?
No, it won't. And in fact, I wouldn't say they run that badly. I mean, I take the train down from Lichfield to London, and on the whole, the trains are pretty reliable.
Really?
And even
you're the first person I've heard say that in many a year.
Oh, well, come on, move up to Lichfield, Mike. You'll actually find it's a good commuting place to be. Lots of broadcasters.
Well, I don't think I'd be able to get in time. I don't think I'd be able to get in time for 5 in the morning, would I?
No, that's probably right.
Yeah. No, but I mean, I think the problem with, you know, the strikes, with the overwhelming kind of lackadaisical attitude, seemingly from the train companies, you know, where they allow trains to be cancelled, they allow for people to say, oh, we haven't got a driver today for this one, so you have to wait for the next one, or, you know, the train's going to stop somewhere. You know what I mean? It's just kind of, it's not a very good thing. The Lichfield line might be great, but I know plenty of people who tell me coming into London from all sorts of other parts of the country is quite difficult and quite a sort of lottery. when you come to think of
I'd
it.
better say quickly, the Lichfield to Birmingham line is not so wonderful. Just in case people in Lichfield think, hang on, what's he talking about?
Right.
You know, the other problem as well is that I remember not long ago a Labour MP saying, oh, the London North Eastern line is terrible. We should nationalise it. And in fact, it was nationalised, unfortunately, by the Conservative government when the private company went bankrupt.
Yes.
So any idea that making it owned by the state is going to be any better, in fact, in my view, it'll be a lot worse. I remember the days of British Rail.
Well, so do I.
Sandwiches, people who couldn't care a toss, frankly, about helping the passenger. Oh, we're state-owned. Don't ask me. Blame the government, mate.
Right. Well, that seems to be what they're setting up. I mean, I don't know whether you're going to be involved in running any kind of business, but, you know, some of the stories that I'm hearing about what this new outfit called the Fair Work Agency is going to be able to do, quite horrifying. You know, so to say, it sounds like the Stasi, you know, people knocking on your door, coming in to see your place of work, see if any of the workers want more rights to work 4 days a week or, you know, to have more holidays or anything like that. You know, this is what business leaders are saying is scaring off business.
Well, absolutely. I did run a business before I became an MP. In fact, we set up radio and television stations in 48 countries all around the world. And we did that because we looked after our staff and the staff looked after us. We worked well together. But if you start imposing all these sorts of regulations on businesses, we'll have the same problems as they have in France and Italy and Spain, which are uncompetitive in the world, where you've got countries like Singapore and the United States and the countries of the Far East really competing hard. Now, if we put in all these restrictions, we'll find not only will we have British businesses going bust, more worryingly, you'll find that big overseas firms who have previously invested in the United Kingdom as an exciting economy won't come here anymore.
Yeah.
And it just seems to me incredible that the Labour Party has learned absolutely nothing. In 1997, you had Tony Blair and New Labour, and at least Tony Blair recognised how to make a country successful. Boring Starmer doesn't seem to have a clue. And as for Rachel Reeves, a middle-ranking person in the Bank of England, never run anything in her life, well, you know, it's very, very clear to see that they have no concept whatsoever about what makes a successful economy. And it's very, very worrying for all of us.
Well, maybe they could go into the housing business. You know, Angela Rayner wants to revamp the entire housing business and build loads of houses all over the place. Jazz Athwal, a Labour MP in the Midlands, was in the news this weekend. It turns out that he's not quite the renters' champion that he makes himself out to be. He's the biggest landlord in the House of Commons. Tenants of his 15 properties have claimed they were told, if you don't like it, leave, when they complained about the fact that there was ants running around all over the place, that there was black mould, all sorts of infestations, terrible conditions to live in. He apparently didn't know about it. He's put out a statement saying that he was shocked and sickened by the problems that have come to light. He was not aware of them until this week.
Well, I find that very hard to believe.
Yes.
I mean, really, is it not going to be the case that tenants will contact him direct? I really do think that it's hard to believe. And what gets me is that if that had been a Conservative MP, the Labour Party would be saying, take away the whip, throw him out.
Yeah.
But, of course, being nice Conservatives, they're not saying that. I'm not an MP anymore, but if I were there, I'd be saying, take the whip away from him and hold a full investigation. And until you are convinced that he is innocent and didn't know anything about it, in which case that just makes him an incompetent landlord rather than a wicked landlord, don't give him the whip back.
Yes, absolutely right. One final question. I understand you're backing Robert Jenrick for the next leader of the Conservative Party. Do you think it should happen sooner than sort of November?
Well, the problem is that we want to try and make the Conservative Party a little bit more democratic in their choice of leader compared to what happened last time, because Rishi Sunak got it by default when Liz Truss went. I mean, frankly, I think we were mad to get rid of Boris Johnson. And then all the drama that happened in the last 2 years as a consequence of that, I think was inevitable. But I suppose the problem is that if we restore it back to the membership again, that takes time. And we've got the Conservative Party conference in October, so I'll be going to Birmingham. And because the trains aren't so marvellous between Lichfield and Birmingham, I'm staying at a friend's house in Birmingham, and also means I can drink late there. And I'm looking forward to it. Have some fun.
OK. Michael, good to talk to you. Thanks very much indeed.